over the last few tutorials, we learned how to create a water shader with foam. So, in this tutorial, we will learn how to make them eye-catching by adding refraction and reflecting the light in our water. In order to add this, you will need a water shader. So, you are good to go if you have yours or created the water shader with my tutorials. Hey guys, I'm Apurva. So without any further ado, let's jump right in. I already have a Unity scene open here with my water shader imported. All of the other things here are just to make the level prettier. In your case, you will only need the water shader. So previously, this is where we left off. We had a water shader that has foams in it. And right now the water looks kind of cartoonish because it's not reflecting anything, neither it's distorting anything. If you take a look at real water, this is what real water looks like. It will distort the things under the water. So we're gonna create the distortions and the reflections on the water. There's also no reflection on the water. So let's fix both of these. As you can see, I have my water shader here. Now let's tackle the first problem, which is creating the reflections. So for that, what we can do is we have a property for it, and that's smoothness. We can manually change the smoothness here, but for simplicity, let's create a float and call it smoothness, and let's hook it up to the smoothness variable. This will actually reflect our water. Now let's save the shader and go back to Unity, and as you can see, as soon as I add the smoothness, the water changes a lot. Right now it's reflecting the sun, and I think it looks pretty cool. Now let's tackle the second thing, which is refraction or distortion underwater. So for that, let's again open our water shader. So let's talk about how we are going to distort or add the refraction here. To add the refraction, what we are gonna use is a normal map. I already have a normal map in my project. As you can see, this is the same normal map that I used in my water shader. You can use any normal map that you find online and use it as a normal map. So to use the normal map, what I will need is a sample texture 2D. So let's take a sample texture 2D to change the texture in our inspector. So I'm going to create a texture 2D and call it refraction texture. I'm going to take it and hook it up to the texture input here. Now we can use one texture to add the distortion or the refraction, but what I think looks great is having two textures moving in the opposite direction. This is what we did when we added our ripples in our water. As you can see, we have two textures here, and we move both of the textures going opposite to each other, and it created a sort of a natural look. So this is what we're gonna do here. You can of course use two textures or even three textures, but what I'm gonna do is use one texture in different directions. So I'm gonna duplicate it. So what I did is I selected the 2D texture and pressed Ctrl D to duplicate it, and now I have two 2D textures, but both of these are static at the moment, so we need to get them moving. So first of all, we will need a time node. So I'm gonna get a time node, and from the time node I'm gonna hook it up to a multiply node. Why am I hooking up to a multiply node? Because I want to control the refraction speed. So I'm going to create a float variable here, refraction speed, and I'm going to hook that up to the B input of our multiply node. So after multiplying, we'll need to hook it up to a tiling and offset node, and I'm going to hook it up to the UV of our sample texture 2D. Now if you want to control the size of the textures, you can of course create a vector 2 here and hook that up to here, and you can change the size here, but I'm not going to do that. But if you want more control, you can obviously do that. Now you can say that we're going to do the same thing. So let's just select the refraction speed, multiply, and tiling and offset, and duplicate it. Now you might have a question here that if you are just going to use the same thing, why can't you just take the connection here and put it in the UV section? In a sense, you're right, but what we want to do is move both of the textures in opposite directions. So currently this is not going to move them in opposite direction, this is going to move them in the same direction. To move the textures in opposite direction, we'll need a negative variable or the negative speed, but we have the positive speed here. So what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to delete the refraction speed connection and I'm going to hook it up to a negate node. So what this will do is it's gonna, whatever value you put here, it's gonna flip it. Let's say you have a 10 here in the refraction speed. So after going through it, it's gonna be -10. So I'm just gonna hook that up to here. Now we'll have opposite directional speed here. Now our textures are moving in the opposite direction. Now what do? Right now we have two textures, so we'll need to blend them. So I'm going to take the sample texture to the output here and put it to a normal blend mode. Normal blend. And as you can see here, it's the normal blend. And I'm also going to take the output of this and put here. Now I forgot to tell you one thing here. Both of the types here are default, but I'm going to change it to normal. So both of these are normal maps. Now we have the blended output of both of these normal maps. So what we are gonna do next is add a control or have a way to control the strength of our refraction. So in order to do that, what we are gonna do is we're gonna hook this normal blend to a multiply node, and we are gonna create a float property called refraction, and we are gonna hook it up to the B input of our multiply node. Now we have a way to control the refraction strength. To distort what is behind our water, what we are gonna do is take our multiplied value here and put it through add node, because in order to distort what is behind our water, we'll need a screen position node. So I'm gonna create a screen position node here. The last thing we'll need is the color of the object that we want to add the distortion. So let's take the output of our add node and let's hook it up to a scene color node. I misspelled it here. I typed refraction speed, but it's gonna be refraction strength. So let me just fix it here, refraction strength. Now we have the object's color that we need to distort. So let's add it to our main color. But as you can see, it's already crowded. Let's first save the shader to have a copy, and I'm just gonna move all of this out of the way so I can work more easily here, and I'm just gonna bring all of this here. So as you can see, we're gonna hook this output to the base color, but the base color already has the output and it's from the color and the foam part of our water shader. So what we are gonna do is create a lerp node here, and we are gonna delete the base color connection here. So we're gonna lerp between our refraction color and our foam color based on, so I'm gonna hook it up to a split node based on the alpha of our foam color. Now we have the lerp node ready, so I'm gonna hook it up to the base color node and save the shader. Now let's go back to Unity and let's see what we did here. So first of all, let's just select the water, and in here let's first add the normal map. Then what I'm gonna do is play the game, because that will actually simulate the water smoothly. Now as you can see, we don't have any refraction or distortion in our water. That's because we don't have any refraction strength. So if I just increase the slider slightly, the refraction amount seems to be changing drastically. So in order to fix that, what we can do is open our water shader again, and where we add the refraction strength. So here, before adding the refraction strength, what we can do is add a multiply node here. So let's add a multiply node and let's multiply it with some decimal points. So 0.2, let's say. So what this is gonna do is whatever value you put in the refraction strength, it's gonna multiply that with 0.02. And now if we hit play, as you can see, when I increase the strength value here right now, the results are not that much dramatic, but it's within the normal range. Now you have a great way to control the water. Now with some minor tweaking, what we have here is a water that looks great. This water has some reflections and distortion or refraction in the water, and I think it looks great. And I think this can be a great starting point for your water shader. Now of course you can add to this and add a very complex water shader for your game, and for that I wish you a very good luck. But I think this will be a great start for you. If you don't want to create the water shader yourself, I'll have a link in the description where you can download the water shader for yourself. If you want to learn how you can create this water shader, I suggest you go and watch this video next. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.